Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the fourth episode, I believe, of the Four Corners Sports Podcast. Today, we're gonna start us off by having Christian recap his UFC picks, and he did pretty well in the UFC department.
Hi, how are you today, Brody?
I'm great. How are you doing on this fine Sunday?
I'm doing good. All right, so unfortunately, I was unable to watch the fights last night, but obviously I had to check them out this morning when I woke up. So we had, we'll just talk. I never talked about the Bo Nickel fight, but obviously we see that he KO'd his dude inside of a minute of the first round. So it's a pretty spectacular performance. I'd like to add on that I think you give him probably two more fights, step it up in difficulty, you'll have a shot at the title here soon. So I did talk about Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker. Now, however, my prediction was wrong. Looks like Dan Hooker did win by decision. But I did say that it would be one of the most even fights on the fight card, and it was with the scorecards coming out to 29-28. So, Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. I was wrong about that. I thought I was pretty confident on Robert Whittaker taking that. Unfortunately, I wish I could have watched the fight to have a little more information on what happened. But yeah, I mean, he just, like I said, du Plessis is a finisher, and he got it done. And obviously, what do you think about that fight, Brody?
Du Plessis just kicked his ass. I mean, straight up just kicked his ass.
I did see Izzy come into the octagon after the fight, and so that was very intriguing. So I believe that Dricus du Plessis is up next for the middleweight title shot. So I guess it's just a matter of getting that scheduled. And
How many rounds does it take for Izzy to end that fight?
I think Izzy could probably end it inside of 3. He's just so freaking. He's a cardio black belt. It seems like the dude's got unlimited stamina, and he's just, he doesn't take a loss unless it's by decision. Loss isn't really an option for him. So, while we're on the title fight scheduling, I think we all saw John Jones and Stipe Miocic scheduled heavyweight fight for November 11th. So that's going to be a pretty good one. I'm looking forward to that. So next we have Alexandre Pantoja and Brandon Moreno. Now, as much as I hated to say it on the last episode, because I like Brandon Moreno a lot, it looks like Pantoja did win. He took it by decision. But I told you guys that was a lock, underdog lock, and looks like he paid out for you guys. And then we have Volk versus Rodriguez. No surprise, really. I was pretty confident that Volk was going to win that fight. I predicted he would have a 5th round TKO, and he had a 3-round TKO. So, pretty good night for myself, I'd say. I guess the du Plessis fight threw off everything really for me. But hey, man, if he can get it done, then he deserves it.
I got a question for you on the Moreno fight. One of the judges scored that fight 49-46 Moreno, and obviously Pantoja won. I think it was 48-47 for the other two. How the hell, as a referee, do you misscore a fight that badly?
I really don't have an answer for that. Unfortunately, I'm not a UFC referee official scorer, but I think one thing that makes it tricky though is it's all subjective, really. With fighting, right? Like, there's obviously no point style, like, in wrestling or competitive jiu-jitsu, right? You get a takedown, you get 2 points. That's not really how it works. It's whoever they think won the fight, and I guess it's however they think who won from different aspects of each round. If one person thinks that the control time was more beneficial to the categorizing of the round than landing 2 strikes to the face, I mean, it really just depends. It's completely subjective, and that's the tricky part.
I understand, yeah, Moreno kind of whooped his ass when he was on their feet, but Pantoja, he had so much control time and got to his back a lot, and I think that's what won him the fight.
Yeah, and I think I talked about that in our last podcast, that, I mean, he's good on the feet, but my God, when he gets on the ground, he just locks on an arm or a leg or the neck, and he just doesn't let go. He's insane on the ground. So he's very comparable to Charles Oliveira, I think is what I said. So, but that is what I have for the UFC recap.
So now we're going on to Cooper to talk about the home run derby and his predictions for that, right?
Yeah, and first time for us. Cooper's actually at a different site for the first time. So let us know how the audio is. Give us any feedback on that. But yeah, we're gonna take it over to Cooper.
Hey, thank you guys, and I'm glad to be back. Sorry I missed the last episode. To deal with some more serious stuff, but now that serious stuff is lessened way down, and I'm very thankful. So glad to be back. So I am going to cover actually two topics today. I'm going to kind of cover for Zane because he usually is our baseball guy. So I'm going to cover the baseball segment, which I'll talk about the Tigers and the Home Run Derby. I'm going to talk about what I liked from the NBA Summer League and the young guys. So first, I'll probably talk about the Summer League. Victor Wembanyama. What the fuck? That's all I have. I get it. It was the first game of his really NBA career, as we can say. Maybe he was rattled. I mean, everyone was there for him, and he looked like he was settling for jumpers because he tried to drive, and yet he's too light. He's getting pushed around, and he's doing this against bench warmers. He won't be able to perform. And I get it's the first game, but when you're compared to LeBron, like you're going to be the next best prospect or the next LeBron or even better than LeBron, it was a very underwhelming, anticlimactic debut. Any thoughts?
Yeah, Coop, we're getting a couple comments. First one, they say L take, and then the second one is, what would Big Money do in this situation?
Big Money would be happy that the Pistons didn't take him, but I don't know about the L take. The dude here, I'm about to pull up his stats. The dude was awful. All he did was block shots, which, I mean, that is good. You all need that. Everyone needs a shot blocker. But when you are supposed to be the next LeBron and you are scoring 9 points, 4 of them from free throws, and you shoot 1 for 6 from 3 and 2 for 13 from the field as a 7-footer that's supposed to be the next LeBron, I very, very disappointed in Victor. Also who he went against, Brandon Miller, who was a second pick. He showed glimpses of good. I mean, he had a 16-point, 11 rebound double-double, but he was also not very good, especially getting drafted ahead of Scoot when Scoot should have been the consensus number 2. It's just disappointing. And then we talk about the Scoot and the men game, that was the Portland and Houston. Scoot Henderson was the 3rd pick. Amen Thompson was the 4th pick. They both looked great. They did suffer injuries. Amen Thompson had a grade 2 ankle sprain, and he will be out for 2 to 3 weeks. And Scoot has a right shoulder strain in his day-to-day, and he will actually not play tonight in the very anticipated game. Everyone wanted Scoot versus Wembanyama, but that will not happen since Scoot is injured.
Now you can go, Tom.
Now I'm going to talk about a couple of second-year guys that have showed out at Holmgren.
So before we go into Holmgren, I have to talk about this guy that said L take. I think this is a really intelligent individual in here, so I really respect their opinion. But I actually have to agree with them. I think people are just looking for a reason to hate on Wembanyama. Yeah, he was pretty inefficient and he missed a couple bunnies, but in reality, I don't really think it was that bad. It's his first game. Yeah, is he gonna miss those ever again? Probably not. So who really cares? It's a summer league game, and if you watch him on offense, he distributed the ball well. He made plays for his teammates, and he got to his shots. Yeah, he missed jump shots, but it's not like he couldn't get to where he wanted to get or he was getting clamped. He dribbled the ball, got where he wanted, pulled up, and just missed. And then defensively, this guy's going to be a top 15 defender in the league like right away. And I know you said all he did was block shots, but when you're that impactful of a defender right away, I mean this is his first season or first game, and he is that good. And I don't care who he's playing against, he's going to be a top 15 defender instantly. And when you have that impact and you can do what he does on offense, I don't even think it was that bad of a game. Yeah, it was slightly inefficient, but what rookie isn't slightly inefficient, right? Like, I'm optimistic for Wembanyama after what I saw. To be honest, he definitely had his flaws, but I don't think it was as bad as everybody thinks.
I had a harsh take. Don't get me wrong, but I do I get it. It was the first game, and that there was one shot where Brandon Miller shot and Wemby didn't even jump, and it was a 3-pointer. and like you saw, like his hand was covering the rim, and like he's gonna be able to do that with anybody. He's gonna be able to stay in front of everyone. He is gonna be a great defender, and yeah, it's just a hard part with me. Don't get me wrong, I'm optimistic on him, but just first game and like you're supposed to be the next great prospect, right? And I get it. I really do. It's just the first summer league game, so who really cares? It was just frustrating when you're getting compared to LeBron. Or some say being a better prospect than LeBron. That's really all. He can be good, don't get me wrong. He's probably going to be top 10 player in the next 5 years, but it's just a little rough.
Yeah, I
I'm
can
gonna go to his-
understand the frustration, for sure.
So that's all. I hope he shuts me up tonight and he just kills me. Like, that's really it. Hope he absolutely dominates the game. Now, his Slenderman brother, Chet Holmgren. I was very happy to see Chet Holmgren get back on the floor. He looked stronger and faster. The injury, I feel like, was actually for the better of him. Obviously, sucked that he didn't get to play, but he looks way better, and I honestly think he could be the possible rookie of the year. Any thoughts? Or
How do you
want me
feel
to-
about that? A second-year player. I know we got hurt, but how do you feel about a second-year player winning Rookie of the Year?
Okay, so I was a huge thing on Ben Simmons. Like when Ben Simmons won it over Donovan Mitchell, I was against it because Ben Simmons played in the year before for like 20 games. Now, since Chet like didn't play at all, like I'm okay with Chet winning it. I will say that. So since he didn't play at all, I'm good, but Ben Simmons just didn't deserve it anyway, so I was also mad about that. I can be okay with Chet winning it.
Now, I have a
Then-
question about another second-year big man. What the hell was Jalen Duren doing hitting threes and hitting pull-up middies? Like, just dribble, sidestep, crossover, tween, pull-up, and made it. He made, like, 2 pull-up middies from, like, deep range. I was genuinely infatuated by how effective Jalen Duren's pull-up mid-range jump shot was last night.
Yeah, I was just as amazed as you. When Jalen Duren is just in the corner, ready to catch and shoot a three, and he knocks it down, catches the ball, top of the key, little dribble in between the legs, sidestep jumper is like, okay. And again, that just shows the kid's only 19 years old, and he is like, you see how shredded he is, you see how big and strong he is. Like we might have found a gem. Well, the way he's improved already. Like again, first summer league game, so he was just better and bigger than everybody. But those shots were over people, and it was great to see. Another second-year player who I am excited to see is Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith, he had like 33 points, and he hit that amazing game-winning shot. The way he just caught it and fired it was huge, and I expect a big second year from Jabari. I expect a big second year from Jabari, and I hope the Rockets do something decent. I hope Amen Thompson gets healthy. And the last guy I'm going to talk about who really impressed me before I get into the Pistons was Keontae George. Keontae George might be the steal of the draft. He had 33 points, 6 threes, 10 assists, and he was just getting after it last night. And I hope Keontae George keeps that up because I was a huge fan of him coming out of high school. And at Baylor, he was really good. And I think he slid down draft boards just because Baylor wasn't successful. And even though he was banged up in the year, but Keontae George will be a stud this season.
Yeah, I know
Then
a couple people that were pretty high on him when he came out of the draft. And I think me, Zane, and you all were really happy that the Jazz picked him. That was my guy, and I know for a fact that Zane and you both liked him.
Right. I definitely thought Keontae George was top 10 talent. I didn't think he was going to go in the top 10 just because of his injury concerns. but he definitely was worthy of going in the top 10, especially with this draft and how kind of weak it was. And now we're going to talk about the Pistons.
Before you
I
talk
really
about them,
liked
can you talk about Anthony Black last night too? I guess
Anthony Black.
that is kind of about the Pistons because he played against them, but he looked good last night, controlling the
He did.
game, looking like a more athletic Josh Giddey.
Yes, I would have to agree with that. Anthony Black did play amazing against the Pistons. That's why we were down by so much in the first quarter. And it kind of worried me a little bit because it felt like we had our whole rotation in there except for Cade, with Ivy, Duran, and Wiseman playing, and they all looked great. Wiseman running up and down the floor like he's all healthy, which is great. Duran knocking down shots like it's nothing, and then Ivy just being Ivy. I honestly hope they don't play tonight. They're just too valuable of guys, and they definitely showed that they're just better than everyone. And I don't want them to just do something stupid tonight. But our rookies, which I was really excited to see Sir Thompson play. I wasn't very sure on him. Definitely thought he was talented, but I didn't really like the pick at 5. I hope he shuts me up. He played great against the Magic. He absolutely torched Jet Howard, which I mean he's supposed to do that, but it felt good just watching it happen. And then I was pretty shocked of Marcus Sasser. I didn't like coming out of college. Like he was the more athletic dude, just driving to the paint, blowing by everybody, hitting mid-range jump shots, and so he didn't shoot many threes. And so I'm like, I don't really know. We already have a bunch of guards. And then Marcus Sasser comes out and goes like 4 for 5 or 4 for 6 from 3. So glad that the rookies played very well against other good rookies like Jet Howard and Anthony Black from the Magic. And I wish Amen didn't get hurt so we could see a Sir versus Amen tonight. Hopefully we get the win against the Rockets. I mean, all we got to do is stop Jabari Smith if Jabari Smith plays. Oh, we'll see. Big things from the Pistons young guys, and again, excited to see because they're getting better and better every time.
Yeah, they looked good last night. I was really optimistic based off what I saw. I'm really excited for tonight. I hope we can beat the Rockets and maybe get a good seed. Maybe make a little run in the Summer League tournament.
Hey, now the Summer League gives out rings, so give us a Summer League ring.
First ring we've ever won.
And then we're going to go from Las Vegas to Seattle. And tomorrow, Monday, July 10th, is the Home Run Derby. I'm not going to go over my whole bracket. I'm just going to simply pick I'm just going to tell you my championship round and who I expect to win. So I expect some fireworks from Randy Rosarena. I know I'm gonna fumble his name. I'm gonna get it better by time this season and these podcasts get better because he is such a good player. I need to learn his name. I expect some fireworks. I expect a 30 plus home run round from him in the first round, and he's just gonna absolutely dominate. And then he's gonna championship round. He's gonna have an easy round. The 8 seed Adley Rutschman. I think he's gonna upset Robert from the White Sox, but he's just not gonna do well in the second round. And Rosarena is gonna move on to the championship round, but he's not gonna beat the winner. I think Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is going to win the Home Run Derby. I think taking the years off because in 2019 he hit 90 plus home runs and lost just because of how the Derby's formatted. You have to hit more in the round, and I think he's going to be back in this Derby for blood. What are your guys' predictions on who you think's going to win?
I know this sounds really random, but Vladdy's actually gotten in a lot better shape, and I wonder if that'll help him this year's Home Run Derby. Like, he might have lost a little bit of pop in his bat, but I think with the conditioning and hopefully going 3 rounds, I think that'll help him a lot in the long run.
Yeah. No, the Home Run Derby is kind of it's more basically on shape and if you can keep swinging because you can crush the ball as much as you want, but you're going to like the swinging eventually gets you tired and We will see if Vladdy can get his get back. I do expect him to get a rematch against Pete Alonso in the Final Four. But I think Vladdy's just gonna go out and just crush Pete Alonso after what happened in 2019. But you never know. I also could see Pete Alonso winning because he cares about the home run derby more than his actual team and winning for them. So who knows? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's probably why the Mets are below 500.
Yeah.
You got homeboy over there meditating and doing deadlifts before the home run derby, and he can't even do anything besides eat a cheeseburger before it's at bat.
Yeah. Tommy, do you have any prediction on who's gonna win?
No, I don't really follow baseball that much, other than I know the Tigers suck. Like I went to the game. I went to the game the other day, not yesterday, but the one before against the Blue Jays, the one we lost 12-2 or whatever that was. So that was a lot of fun. And just add insult to injury, we throw a no hitter the next game. So that's my baseball experience this year.
Yeah, I feel for you there, Tommy. I mean, the first combined no hitter in team history. Matt Manning was absolutely dealing, and it was great to see. And then we just need to give a shout out to Riley Green for coming back. Riley Green yesterday in our 2-0 combined no hitter win. Obviously, the no hitter was getting the attention because the game was boring. It was a 2-0 game, and the only 2 runs were scored in the bottom of the first inning. But Riley Green, he got on base twice. Well, he went 2 for 2, and he got walked his other 2 at bats. I truly think Riley Green would have been an all-star if he didn't get hurt. And then he obviously has homered in the game that's going on currently, as I believe we're still winning. Up 3-0 now, yeah. So go Tigers. With some of our pitchers getting healthy and Riley Green getting healthy, can we see some optimism with the Tigers at the end of the year?
I still don't know if we're playoff bound, but optimistically looking forward to the next season because, Torkelson month in, month out, he's getting a little bit better each month. He's 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI single today. Skubal came in only 2 hits and two walks in 4 innings, 5 Ks, no runs given up yet on the season for him and his only short 2 appearances, but he's looking good. Our young Manning just looked really good, and if we can keep this bullpen up and Lange can figure it out, we might be able to make a little run.
Anything can happen when you're in one of the worst divisions in baseball. But, I would just like to take a minute to give a shout-out to the best pitcher in the Tigers bullpen, Zach Short. What a guy. A 0 ERA and, just came in clutch for the Tigers the other day. So I just had to give a shout-out to him.
Let's hope that the Tigers can turn this thing around because – well, we were kind of competitive for a minute. We were only like a game or 2 below 500, which that's obviously not good. But when you're in the worst division in baseball, it's okay. And obviously, then our main pitchers got hurt, and then our best player got hurt, and it was rough. It's been rough, but we're starting to make a climb and make a push. Torkelson's making contact. Today, Riley Green's homered. Miguel Cabrera got a hit and brought Javi Baez in. Let's go Tigers.
Yeah, it's always a good day when Miggy gets a hit or really just touches the ball because it doesn't happen too often anymore.
Yeah, and so those are my segments on the summer league and our baseball. Hopefully Vladdy comes out and wins the home run derby. And we're glad to see this Tigers turnaround. We're sorry that Mr. Zane Bowling couldn't make it today to talk about the Tigers. He's pretty excited about what's going on in these last 48 hours, but he is on vacation, and we hope he is enjoying himself, and we hope to see him on our next episode. Now we're going to talk about, with Mr. Tommy Winsauer, the other team in Detroit, the Detroit Red Wings.
Thanks, Coop. So if you tuned in last podcast, I learned that the trade talks between the Red Wings and the Senators for Alex DeBrincat were like back in motion, and what I have come to learn is that it is pretty much a done deal. The Ottawa Senators took DeBrincat off their website, like he's no longer technically an Ottawa Senator, but the Red Wings don't want to make anything official until they get the long-term deal locked up. So now what I saw is that DeBrincat wants an 8x8 to an 8x9, 8 years, 8 million, 8 years, 9 million-ish. But Eisman doesn't like those long deals. He wants to give him more of a 5-year deal, but the money's fine. Like, the money's there. Eisman just doesn't want, like, a Miguel Cabrera situation where we're paying him tons of money when he's 33, 34 years old and not going to be scoring goals for us. So this is really exciting for Detroit. Alex DeBrincat is a great goal scorer. He had 40 goals in 2 of his first 3 seasons in the league. Last year was a bit of a down year, but, you know, Ottawa wasn't a great team last year. I mean, they're good offensively, but I don't know. He just had a down year. I think once this deal becomes final, this could really be the thing that pushes Detroit over that hump. And I know I said it a couple podcasts ago that Detroit may be on the outside looking in next year, but if this happens, I could very see them making the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I think getting a 40-goal scorer in, and we need that. And we've talked about this many times on the podcast. He can be DeBrincat can be the Kucherov to Larkin, like it's Stamkos and Kucherov in Tampa Bay.
McDavid, I mean, not obviously not to that level, but McDavid, Draisaitl. I mean, they just feed off each other.
And I'm kind of making the comparison because that's where Stevie came from. But if Larkin can be the Stamkos, which we already know he can be, and I think Larkin can put up a 100-point season with an elite winger, and DeBrincat can be the Kucherov, I think you can see DeBrincat come in, put up 40 goals and 80 points. And I think that's a realistic scenario where we come in, that happens, and holy shit, we're third in the division, or we're the first wild card team. Yeah. And then we get a home Little Caesars Arena playoff game, and then you look at our farm system, and it's still the deepest in the league.
I don't know about the deepest, like, because we're taking so many of those guys, but we're like, yeah, still with how deep it would be, like the future's just so bright for the Wings.
Top 5 farm system in the NHL, and with that coming along, and we're already winning now, I think you actually are going to see like a Stanley Cup window open up. We might have to be a little patient, but I think it's going to come.
I agree, but I was going over the lines with my dad the other day and what they would be. You'd obviously have Larkin, DeBrincat, and then a scenario I saw is that with the money we freed up from Zadina and then one more contract that we would send to the Senators, Patrick Kane is still a free agent. And Ottawa was one of his top destinations because of Alex DeBrincat. So with them being buddy-buddy, we could see a top line of DeBrincat, Larkin, and Patrick Kane.
No,
you don't think so?
I don't want Patrick Kane on my team.
Why?
He's a Blackhawk.
He's still one. I say he's the best American-born player ever, and even at his age, I think
he's still a bitch.
I think he has some of the filthiest hands in the league. So I think he can severely help us.
I think that's without question, but how much are we paying him, and how long is he going to be here? Because we're not winning a Stanley Cup with him. And
you don't think that opens the Stanley Cup window now if we get him and DeBrincat? No.
We can go line by line versus teams that lost in the second round of the playoffs last year, and their line by lines are consistently going to be better than ours, even with Kane and DeBrincat. That's the issue.
Okay. I think our offensive depth at that point, though, is just unmatched because you would have Larkin, DeBrincat, Kane first line. Okay. Then you'd have, let's just say, Kopp, Perron, Raymond second line. Okay. I'm going to say for argument's sake, we send Fabry. That's the other contract we send over. Third line would be who else? Rasmussen with Kubalik. Did I say Kubalik? I didn't say Kubalik. Kubalik, who can also be a 40-goal scorer. He was a 40-goal scorer in Chicago. And
he was a 30-goal scorer.
30, my bad. Kubalik, and then Bergeron. And then you have Comfer, what's his name? Tall guy. I always forget. Soderblom and anyone else, really. You can put anyone on that fourth line and they do well. So I think that would really, really put our offense into like a top. I don't want to say 3, but a top 5, especially with the depth.
I just think that's a little rich. That's a little rich for me. I mean, look at the team like they got Lankinen, McKinnon, Rantanen, and then they got Landeskog, Valerie Nichushkin, Jonathan Drouin. That's the first two lines for the Avalanche, and that's not even putting in the fact that they have the best defenseman in the league. Like if
Two of the top defensemen, because a lot of people
Bo
forget
Byram.
Devon Taves.
Devon Taves and Bo Byram.
Yeah.
That's that. And Samuel Girard was also a pretty good player.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if we're trying to open a Stanley Cup window, we got to relax a little bit. I know we want to win, but we're not there yet. Even with those two, we're not there yet.
So Kelly, what you missed was Christian opened us up with his UFC recap from the fights last night. And then Cooper is virtual today, but we're glad to have him back. But he did some Pistons Summer League and Tigers stuff. And then I am currently going over the Detroit Red Wings and some of the possibilities with Alex DeBrincat. But yeah, just the Wings, they're going to be exciting. They're definitely going to be a fun team to watch no matter what this year. And if the reports are true and the DeBrincat is a done deal, it's just going to be super exciting. We just got to have full trust in Yzerman. He built that Tampa Bay team that's still winning to this day. So, yeah.
No.
I know we're going through this time really quick, but that's about it for my segment. So,
Can we cover the MLB draft before we get into my NFC North segment? Can we talk about the MLB draft a little bit? So the Tigers are going to be picking here at 3, and this is the first time I've seen a Detroit team get super lucky with the lottery. I know the Pistons won it when they had Cade and the Cade draft, but they were supposed to win it. The Tigers come up here, picking top 3. There's 3 elite prospects, and that's the great news. Dylan Cruz is not going to go number 1 overall to the Pirates because they don't want to pay him. So there's a chance that we get the number 1 overall player, one of the best prospects coming out in a long time, comes down to 3, and he is a Detroit Tiger. If not, we're going to go with outfielder Wyatt Langford from Florida, and Paul Skeens is the pitcher from Florida. Those are the top 3. There are rumors that we might take catcher Kyle Teal from Virginia, who, I don't know, he's not going to be a 5-tool player like Cruz could be, or maybe even Langford could be, but he's going to be a really, really good hitter, and we haven't had a catcher that can hit like that in a long time.
I was just about to ask if like two of the top 3 were from college team. I didn't remember which one, but Florida.
2 are from LSU, Paul Skeens and Cruz. Langford's from Florida.
Skeens is from LSU.
There's another really, really good pitcher from Florida, though. I think he's going to go top 10. I totally forget his name. I can't remember it right now, but he's legit as well.
So yeah, I didn't watch. I don't know much about baseball, but obviously what this LSU team did this past season was nothing short of incredible. So to get that Cruz kid, which I have heard a little bit of, I've seen some of his high school highlights, or either of those 2 other kids. I mean, it's just super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a frickin' stud. And if the Tigers end up with Dylan Cruz, you're looking at an outfield that's potentially Dylan Cruz,
Green.
Riley Green at corner, and
Riley
then,
Green.
Kerry
Carpenter. I mean, if
We don't pay him for his defense, though.
We don't pay him for his defense, but we're going to put him in right field and tell him to go F himself. And we have Cruz and Riley Green are going to bring elite defense to the left and center outfield spots. And then overall, they all can hit. And that's what's going to do a lot. We got a question saying, where's Max Clark? Max Clark I see him a lot in the 4 to 7-ish range. So after those 3 go, it's kind of a question mark. He could go 4 to the Rangers, but I've also seen Walker Jenkins, the other high school outfielder. I've seen him mocked to the Rangers. Chase Dolander from Tennessee, I've seen him mocked a little bit. And then I've seen Kyle Teal from Virginia. I've seen him mocked to go number 4 as well. So I think he can go anywhere in those couple spots. Honestly, not a huge Max Clark guy, as got some character concerns, but he's a very, 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 very good high school baseball player. But I'm really hoping that we end up with Dylan Cruz.
Boys, can I give you guys some news?
Yeah, absolutely. Hit us with it, Coop.
Are you guys? Okay, so there was this final mock draft, and it was posted 4 hours ago. I'm not getting our hopes up high, but the mock drafts are saying that Wyatt Langford's going to go 1, and then Paul Skeens is going to go 2, which will leave us with Dylan Cruz, and that's what the mocks predict us to draft, we want that, so that's all I would like to say. I mean, the mocks are giving us Dylan Cruz, so let's hope the mock drafts are right.
Brody, I got a question for you.
Yep, let's hear it.
So I'm not a big baseball advocate myself, but when someone gets drafted out of high school, what does that process look like? Do they go straight into the farm system? Do they go straight into college, or do they still go play college baseball? And if so, who decides when they do play MLB and who doesn't, and how does that all work?
So if you see an elite prospect, it really depends on what level or what round they get taken, because if they get taken in like the 25th, 30th round, they can just go play college baseball, improve their draft stock, and get drafted by a whole new team. But if they get drafted earlier, like Max Clark's going to get, like Jackson Jobe that the Tigers drafted a couple years ago, they're going to go straight into the farm system, low A ball, start off there. They're probably going to work their way up. Jackson Jobe, I believe, is going to be in high A right now. He might be coming into double A soon. So that's 2 years out, I believe, or a year out, a year-ish. It's 2 years out, and that's where he's at. It takes a couple times. It does take longer for pitchers than position players. But they're going to slowly come up the farm system with their high draft picks, and they want to stay with that team.
I appreciate it.
Coop, anything else to add about the draft?
No, I hope we get Cruz or Langford. I'm really not mad about. I mean, to be honest, the only college baseball games I watched were the three College World Series games, and you could just tell that they were by far the best players in those games, and we'll see. I would rather have Dylan Cruz, though.
I absolutely love Paul Skeens, and he's an amazing pitcher prospect. I really just do not want him because I want an outfielder so badly. I really want a position player. We've taken so many pitchers over the years, and if we can't have at least 3 high-end arms with those 3 high-end draft picks we spent on pitching, actually it's 4 if you count Joe, even though he's a little further out, then I'm just going to cry. We need to take some outfielders. We need position players, and best position player available, I would love for us to take them. And then coming into our final segment of the day, we're going to have the NFC North preview. So, Tommy, do you want me to start off with the records or awards for the NFC North?
Let's start off with the records.
Okay, so coming from the bottom up, we have the Bears going 6-11. That's a huge. It's a 3-1 improvement over last year. I think they're still like a decently competitive team, but when push comes to shove and they have to get a stop on defense, or if they get behind in a game and Justin Fields doesn't really have a threat of the running game, that's when he's gonna have to prove himself a little bit more to me and to everybody else. And I think that's when they struggle a little bit. Their defense is pretty bad, so I think there's a good chance that they do get down in a lot of games, and that's really gonna lose games. But if they get up and they can run the ball, milk clock, Fields can use his legs, and then use the run to open up the pass. Maybe they're gonna probably throw a lot of fade balls to DJ Moore, kind of like what Hurts and Brown did last year when people run press man to try and stop the run. And then I think that's when that offense really gets explosive. Then we have the Packers.
I would have to agree with that.
We have the Packers sitting here at 8-9. Their schedule is actually surprisingly difficult. When I was looking at it, I was like, dang, they got a lot of difficult games. And even when I'm seeing like the Bears are not an easy win anymore. This is not a team that you're just like, oh, chalk up, we're gonna win that game. This is a decent. I mean, they're an adequate football team with they have elite capabilities. They have an elite rushing offense. So you look at their schedule and like they play the Bears twice, but are they gonna win more than once? Because they play them in a prime time. I believe they play them in a primetime game in Jordan Love's first start. Like, I think I had them losing that game. And then they have a great defense. They're gonna have a talented defense. I don't know what great. They're gonna have a talented defense. They still have Joe Barry's bitch ass calling plays, running that Fangio quarter scheme that Ben Johnson absolutely ripped apart. Well, not really, but he ripped apart the scheme, not the Packers defense, because we didn't perform the best against them last year. But I have them at 8-9, and then I have the Vikings at 9-8. The Vikings actually also have a pretty difficult schedule, and they have that first place schedule as we talked about in our last episode. So they're playing the Niners. They're playing, I forget the other one seed or number one team in the division they're playing was just like, yeah, they're just better than them. And the Vikings, that's what's going to have them at 9-8. And I got the Lions winning the division, going 10-7. After I have fully looked at the whole schedule and predicted all the games, I do have the Vikings going into the last game of the season 8-8. So I have the Lions losing that game to drop to 10-7. Even though if they needed to play that game, I do think that they could get that game done, especially since Goff he's terrible on the road, but he's good inside. So I think he'd be all right in the dome. And he played well. He played well in the dome last year, and I think it's TNC Bank Stadium. No, that's definitely not TNC Bank. I'm
U.S.
Bank. Close enough. It's a bank. Yeah. And Tommy, I'm going to ask you for your thoughts on the North, and we'll get to Cooper's thoughts in a second.
So yeah, I think the North, especially for the NFC North, I think it's really an open division. I mean, you got two teams that heavily improved and two teams that I think declined. I know you're not so much on the Vikings decline because the defensive coordinator, right? Flores, yeah, and better offensively. But I think Detroit, it's theirs for the taking for the first time in a long time. Because the Bears aren't quite there, like you said. Not the Vikings. The Packers took a step back, and the Vikings, even with Flores, I mean, they had the 32nd defense or the last defense in the league last year, wasn't it? Or was it pass defense?
I'm not too sure. I can check right now. They did lose a couple pieces on the defense. They lost Eric Kendricks, which is going to be a big loss. I lost a couple corners, but Flores is going to come in, and I do have them getting worse. It's not like I don't think they're going to get worse. I have them winning 4 less games. I'd never viewed them as a 13-win team last year. I think they're going to kind of regress to the mean, and I think the mean is 8, 10, 11, somewhere in there wins.
Right. A lot of their games were one-score games, and they just happened to be on the winning side of a lot of those. Like you said, that's just not going to happen for 2 years in a row. I'm very, very excited for the Lions. I think a lot of Lions fans should be excited. It's going to be a great year for them.
Yeah, it's going to be a super fun season. The Vikings, they were 11th in opponent rush I'm looking, never mind. So they were 22nd in pretty much in rush defense. They're about 22nd. Pass defense, they averaged about 28, 27, somewhere in there. So they were not very good. They were 12th in the league in takeaways, and they didn't commit a lot of penalties. So they had that going for them, but their defense was definitely the downside of their team last year. And any team that's in that many close games that somehow pulls them out, it's just not a consistent way to win. You want to be blowing teams out, or not blowing teams out, but you could have a game where you win by a touchdown that you're in control the full game. That did not happen for the Vikings last year. And I just don't really see that replicating.
Like, I remember the Lions Week 3 game with the Vikings. The Lions had that game. They were in control the entire game, except for that fourth quarter when the Lions pretty much blew it for them. Like that final, I can see it. The final play, the corner pass to Osborne. The Vikings had no reason to win that game, other than the Lions just giving it to them. So, yeah, that was one of those examples where they just shouldn't have won a game and happened to pull it out.
And I think the bigger one, when I think about should not have won game that they end up pulling away, was the Bills game. They were down the full game, miraculous comeback. Bills have the game, and then Bills win the game, and then fumble on a quarterback kneel.
Yeah.
And then the Vikings win from there.
Yeah.
Sent it to overtime, and we saw what happened afterwards. How much will that ever happen again in our lifetime? Probably not.
No.
That was the issue with the Vikings last year. And then I do have a playoff prediction. So I have the Detroit Lions finishing as the 3 seed, and then I actually am gonna have the Seahawks slotted in the 6. So we're gonna play them, and I have the Seahawks beating the Lions earlier on in the season, and I think we get our revenge. We beat them, so then we're the 3 seed. After beating them, this is when it gets a little bit tricky, because we're gonna come in, and we are going to head down to San Francisco, and well, we're on the come up. That's what I'm gonna say. We're on the come up.
Well,
we got next year.
The Seahawks put in a pretty good fight in San Francisco last year, so they looked okay. I'll put it like that. I watched that game while building this computer that we're streaming on, but they looked okay. And both teams have improved, and I think that, like we discussed in earlier podcasts, the Niners got worse. So I think it's a closer game than people think, but I do believe the Niners, like you said, pull that one out.
I feel like that's one of the games that's like you come in, you know you're gonna lose. You play the first half, you're like, well, it's close, but we're still gonna lose. Then they end up winning like 27-17 or something like that. It's hard to win playoff games on the road, as everybody knows, and especially against teams that are that good. I also haven't fully decided if we're gonna come in and the Vikings are gonna make the 7th seed yet. If they do, you know, they're gonna play San Francisco, so have fun. But for previewing the awards, so I want to hear what you think, Cooper and Tommy.
We actually lost Cooper. I don't understand. We lost Coop. I don't know how or why, but we're looking into it. So I'll let you know if he says anything.
All right, but Tommy, who do you think your MVP for the NFC North is? Because I already have my predictions down. I just want to get yours.
All right. This is honestly, I don't know. I could go a couple different ways because I think Justin Jefferson could run away, even with the overall MVP. I know that's a quarterback award now, but if there was a position player to win it last year, Justin Jefferson would have been my pick. You could go, if Geno keeps it up, you could go Geno.
Geno?
Yeah.
I'm talking NFC North MVP.
Huh?
NFC North.
Oh, NFC North. My bad. I thought you said NFC. We could see a quarterback like Goff or Kirk Cousins maybe play above their ceiling. Yeah, if we want to go Lyman, David Bakhtiari, like Fieldsy said. No, that's not going to happen. That's Christian's pick. Would you like to go into depth?
Honestly, I mean, I don't know if anyone else has seen that clip of him chugging a beer at that NBA game, but I saw him put down about 6 in 15 seconds.
Oh, was it 15 seconds?
I mean, and then he did it on a torn ACL too. I mean, it takes skill.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Cooper is back.
Coop's back. Honestly, I don't know. I could go a couple different ways because I think Justin Jefferson could run away, even with the overall MVP.
Yeah, Cooper turned off the string.
Now, but if there was a position player to win it last year, Justin Jefferson.
Cooper, you got to turn off the stream.
Would have been my pick.
You got to mute him. Well, we're trying to communicate with Cooper right now to try and figure this technical difficulty out. Because I want to ask him what his NFC North prediction is. And for my MVP, or who'd you go with for your MVP? You never had a final prediction.
I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson just because I think he's going to be the highlight of their offense. And last year he was an MVP candidate, wasn't he?
He was up there.
A finalist, yeah. So I think he's going to be mine.
Yeah, that's who I have. I have Justin Jefferson. I actually gave a little bit of thought to the quarterbacks, to Kirk Cousins, you know, to Jared Goff, to Justin Fields. I give them all a little bit of thought. You know, no really standout running backs that are that good that are going to win it. And I gave it to Jettas. And then Offensive Player of the Year, I give this one to Kirk Cousins. I think they win this award simultaneously. And, yeah, I don't see who... I mean, you could say Goff, and he's going to put up good numbers, but I think Kirk Cousins is just a better player. I mean, that is what it is. I think Kirk Cousins is a little bit better than Jared Goff, so I picked him. And he's a more talented offense around him. Tommy, Christian, your guys' picks?
I told you. We both told you our pick.
Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year. I'm gonna go wild card. It's a pick that me and you hated.
No, he's gonna say Jahmyr Gibbs.
I am
He
gonna
gets cut off.
say
He gets cut off. He gets cut off. He gets cut off. No.
Let me explain
Christian,
why.
what's your NFC North Offensive Player of the Year pick?
I'm gonna explain why here in a second.
Yeah,
So my NFC North Offensive Player of the Year pick is Penei Sewell. I mean, the footwork on him, I tell you, he kicks back like no other. It's almost mesmerizing. I fantasize about it quite often. He's gonna win it. There's no other way around it. You can't change my mind. If not him, Jahmyr Gibbs.
That was cute.
So, the reason I picked Jahmyr Gibbs
Oh yeah.
is because I saw something that the running backs coach that made Alvin Kamara in his rookie year when they had was it Ingram on that team? That was the RB1 on their team, and Kamara.
Kamara was the RB1.
Anyway, we have him apparently. Is that? Am I right in saying that?
I don't know if Deuce Staley coached, and I mean he probably did because he's our running backs coach, and Campbell came from New Orleans, so I bet he was there.
So, I saw a comparison saying that's going to be something similar we see this year, especially with the similar skill sets. So, as much as I still disagree with the pick, I think it was a terrible pick, but the skill set is there to have an Alvin Kamara type year. So, he is going to be my NFC North Offensive Player of the Year.
I don't see a world where he becomes as good as Alvin Kamara was two to 3 years ago, but is what it is. Is what it is. And then for my offensive rookie of the year pick, this is what I think this is a pretty easy one, to be honest. I have Jordan Addison. He's gonna come into one of the most explosive passing offenses in the league, and he's gonna get a lot of targets. They got a lot of people to come through, and yeah, they do. They have a lot of people that are gonna come in and get some touches, but Addison's gonna come in, play the Thielen role, but be way more dynamic. And he's going to get his yards. He's going to get his touchdowns. I don't think another rookie's going to put up the numbers he will. Yeah, Gibbs is going to be a fine player, but Montgomery's going to take out the goal line work, and he's going to get the majority of the carries. So I don't know if he'll be able to put the numbers up. So Cooper came in with his picks. He's got Jay Jettas as well for MVP. And for Offensive Player of the Year, he's got Amon-Ra. I think that's a good pick. I was majority debating between him and Cousins, because I think I was gonna give Amon-Ra the nod over Goff.
Kelly Skinner coming with Sam Laporta, Rookie of the Year. For Rookie of the Year.
I just barfed. I just barfed.
Would you be more comfortable with my Gibbs pick at Rookie of the Year?
You picked Gibbs for Offensive Player of the Year.
Right, I know. I didn't know there was a Rookie of the Year thing coming, so that's my bad for not looking at the notes, but.
I just want to blow my head off thinking about it. But, it's all good. We're talking about NFL Lions draft. What could go wrong in the Lions draft, right?
I know, yeah. We were thinking that going in, and then everything possible went wrong. So
you're like, oh shoot, you sit here and you get what you want no matter what, and oh shoot, Jalen Carter falls, and you just go to shoot yourself. And then Cooper Fry also agrees. He's got Jordan Addison coming in with Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I really just don't see anybody else winning. I think Gibbs you could pick. I could get an argument for Gibbs. I really don't see Laporta winning it. We had T.J. Hockenson, who is obviously better than Sam Laporta is, and we did not use him as much as we probably could have. I know we got double teamed a lot, and that's not going to happen with Laporta. But will Laporta even play more than like 60% of our snaps?
Yeah, I don't know. We have a lot of tight ends. Zylstra and Wright did very good last year, I think, stepping up when Hockenson left. So it's really just on what Campbell decides to do with him and all of our tight ends.
Well, I think we might even carry 4 because James Mitchell's our higher upside guy that we're going to swing on. So we'll see how many tight ends we carry. And I don't think he'll get the 60. Yeah, Kelly says he won't. I don't think he'll get the 60% snaps. I mean, with the tight ends we're carrying, we do use a lot of two tight end personnel, but that's still super rare in the NFL nowadays. Now coming on to defense. Defensive MVP. I actually thought a lot about this. And for me, it came down to a couple players. I was between Rashawn Gary, Jair Alexander, Danielle Hunter, and Aiden Hutchinson. And as much as I really wanted to go, Hutch. I took Gary. I didn't take Jair because Jair's the best player. But statistically, corners don't really put up. I agree with you, Cooper. Jair, I like the pick. I took Gary. Maybe Michigan bias, probably a little bit. But Jair's the better player, but Jair's just not going to put up a ton of numbers because he is the corner. And after I saw Amon-Ra do his seatbelt celebration to him after he just sealed the game for us, fuck that guy.
Yeah, him and Chark got in there.
That was beautiful.
It was incredible. But yeah, I'm I am going to go with the Lion. And I think this is a very underrated pick because I think he's going to be a guy that is playing safety, but is going to be playing more of a linebacker role. And I think you know who I'm going to say, Tracy Walker.
I thought you were going to say Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
No, I'm going with Tracy Walker. I think he's going to play more of a linebacker role. A couple years ago, he led the team in tackles. I mean, that was a very bad Lions team, and there was a lot of, plays that he had to make those tackles. But I think with our safety room being so deep, we can see an Isaiah Simmons, not really Isaiah Simmons type role, but like how you would play him in Madden is what I'm going to go for here. Where you
Sub him in and put him in the linebacker spot in nickel and dime formation.
Yeah. So that's where I'm going to go. I think he's going to have a really good chance at making comeback player of the year with the season he's going to have this year.
Well, I think there's another safety, and his name is DeMar Hamlin. I don't really think Walker has a...
Yeah, I guess that's true. If he just touches the field.
So we got a comment that's saying CJ or Brian Brandt. Yeah, if we're taking a safety to make or to win an award, especially defensive MVP for the NFC North, I would think you'd have to be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson if we're taking a Lions safety. I wonder how much Brian Branch is going to play right now. Because I was thinking about this. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's probably going to play the slot. And that's Brian Branch's best position. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's probably going to play a lot of slot. Walker's going to play the strong safety. If we run out 2 slot corners, maybe Branch comes in and plays then instead of Walker. But he's going to play the strong safety. He's going to be the one rolling down in the box. And then Kirby Joseph's playing free safety. He's playing center field. He's going to ball hawk like he did last year, and he did very well. He did a very good job at it. So I don't really see how much Branch is going to play, but I think when he does leave, when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson does leave, he's going to be taking over, and he's going to be a beast.
Yeah. Shoot, I was going to say something. What was I going to say? Man, I completely lost it. But yeah, we do still have Kirby. Jesus, I lost it. Never mind. We're going back to Brody.
But yeah, I mean, Kirby's a beast. I know we got another comment. Then you have Kirby. Yeah, we have a really deep safety room.
I got it.
Not a bad thing at all.
So, Brian Branch was one of the guys I did a lot of film on after the draft, and I love the way he plays. Very, very physical. But the biggest thing I had on him was his discipline. He got a lot of penalties, like a lot of DPIs. So I think that's gonna hold him back from getting a lot of the touches. But if he can fix that, he can be a great spot for us.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely I think was the biggest concern is he's a little grabby in coverage. I think his best trait though 0 missed tackles last year, and if you watch the Lions last year, we need a sure tackler to secondary. As much I love Kirby Joseph, and he is very good at I don't know what they call it, but he pretty much just cuts like he cuts at the he's like cutting wood, but he's cutting the tight ends, running backs, ankles, and knees. He's really good at that, but he's not the best open field tackler.
Yeah, the play that comes to mind when you say that is when we played the Vikings. I don't remember which game it was, but Jay Jettis had an incredible catch in double coverage, and then dragged Kirby Joseph for 5 yards, broke that, and ran it in for a touchdown, but was called out of bounds. I think that was a touchdown, but the only reason he was stopped was because he ran out of bounds.
My fantasy team would agree with you. So Cooper comes in saying Branch was the only pick I liked this year, and I hope for a good year when he's on the field. Yeah, I think he's going to come in, and they're going to put him at star, the slot role that he played with Bama. I think he's going to be genuinely probably a slightly above average starter right away with high end starting potential, and I'm really excited for that. Maybe he comes in and impacts the game even more than I think, and maybe he might because he's going to be fresh. Because I don't think he's going to be playing a bunch of snaps, but when he gets in there, I look for really good things as well. So now going on to my defensive player of the year. So these awards are kind of redundant, but I didn't want to just give out 2 awards to each offense and defense. I did take Danielle Hunter. Any of you guys that know me know how much I absolutely love Danielle Hunter. I don't talk about him a ton because we don't talk about Vikings edge rushers, but I love this guy. I like them coming out of LSU. He's an absolute freaking stud. I know Cooper. You pick Hutch. I talked about it earlier. I got a Hutch signed jersey in my room. I love that guy. But Danielle Hunter is the better player, and I think Hutch is the better run defender. I don't think that's ridiculous to say, but I think I don't think right now Hunter's the better pass rusher, and if he stays healthy, he'll put up better numbers. And then complete Lions, baby. The Lions bias because Hunter is better. Yeah, Cooper, I see that, but It's close. Like Hutch is a good player. He's an above average. He's a stud. He's a stud. I'd call him a stud in the league right now with only higher potential.
So I have a little bit of a bias against Daniil Hunter because one of my first times playing fantasy, we did a defense league, and I had the second overall pick, and I took Daniil Hunter, and it turns out he was hurt the whole year, so I didn't even get to see him play, and he was in my IR slot all year, so I'm gonna have to go Hutch for that reason. So
Understand. Fieldsy, do you have a defensive player of the year pick?
We have to go with Broderick Barton on this one.
our favorite pick from the draft.
Yeah, third round steal for the Detroit Lions. That big, fat, terrible nose tackle. Yes, I love it, Fieldsy. I love it. He's going to stuff the run in the fourth quarter when we're up by 30. And next we got Defensive Rookie of the Year, and I think this is probably the easiest selection. If you look at all the picks in the draft, you have to take Lucas Van. I'm just playing. It's Jack Campbell. It's Jack Campbell. And there might not be, aside from Anderson and Carter, there's probably not a defender in this draft that impacts the game as well right away as Campbell does. And I think he's going to come out, he's going to put up over 100 tackles, hoping maybe a couple picks, you know. He's going to have some tackles for loss, a couple sacks. He's going to rack up stats. He's never going to be your elite Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, Demario Davis linebacker, but he can be a consistent top 20 guy, and I don't really see a world where he comes out and isn't anything at least average. And I think that'll win you Defensive Rookie of the Year in this division.
Yeah, I agree. One of my notes for him was good in coverage, like kind of like an opposite of like. I know you're smiling at it, but that was some of my notes for him. Was he was good in coverage, kind of like the opposite of a Rodrigo. Like, you can have him in those first and second down situations, and then have Rodrigo in for that third down run stop. So I think they're gonna be.
You got that a little backwards.
Did I?
First and second down run stop, third down.
Oh,
yeah.
But third down pass, whatever. But yeah, I think they're gonna be a good pairing.
Cooper says, bro, better not miss a tackle because I don't like him at 18. Hopefully he shuts me up. Yeah, hopefully he does. He can be, a perennial Pro Bowl linebacker, and he'll probably make a few because Lions fans are going to vote him on, even though he's probably never like a top 6 linebacker in the league.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to – he can be an all-pro, and I'm still going to be like, that was fucking terrible. Yeah. So, yeah, Anzalone for defense, we got a comment saying that. If Alex Anelzone touches the field over Rodriguez or Campbell, I'm probably going to jump off a balcony.
Great hair, though. Gotta love the hair.
Yeah. That's the only thing good about him. Yeah, I'll cry. I will really be like dramatically upset if he touches the field. So my issue with Campbell is I think if he drops in his zone, which we like to run the cover one, the man press. When he drops in his zone, he's tall and fast. He's gonna get into passing lanes, but he's not gonna do. When I think of elite coverage guys or good coverage guys, I think of Fred Warner, who in Tampa 2 can turn around, carry your slot receiver. He can run the pole and take away deep hole shots across the middle of the field. I don't really see that. He's not as fluid as Fred Warner is, and in man-to-man coverage, well, we're not going to do that with him because we're not asking probably any of our linebackers to play man-to-man with any skilled guy in space because that's just a recipe for disaster. But overall, I think he's going to be a good player for us, and I don't really think like you could have taken Lucas Van Ness. I'm not taking Lucas Van Ness over Campbell. Lucas Van Ness has the higher ceiling, but Campbell's going to come out and play better right away. And Tyreek Stevenson, no, he's going to be a good player.
Yeah, and we probably could have gotten any of those guys in the second round, but it's just hard because of the Lions draft. But like we have to deal with it now, and we did get some good players, but like at the value, it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. And, I got to get a little excited here and make a clip for the TikTok. But after this, I'm going to head out. But after reviewing the NFC North and looking team by team through let me restart.
Yeah, we got to get it perfect. This is going to be a good clip.
After reviewing the NFC North and going team by team through all 4 depth charts and rosters, looking at the schedules, predicting what will happen this season, I have the Lions winning the NFC North for the first time since 1991 and a home playoff game that they're going to take down. They're going to win a home playoff game in the North in the first year for the night since 1991, and all 4 of us are going to be there in attendance. Catch the Four Corners podcast there. Peace out.